respect the speakers on stage. It's their time to shine. So it'll be great if you all are there for the talks. To start the flash talks, the first 5 speakers, please come behind so that we don't crowd everyone, only the first 5. And while that is getting set up, we have a special flash talk from one of our participants here. Meet Nitin. Nitin is visually impaired, and he's a Ruby developer for how long, Nitin, now?
Now, about 10 years.
So 10 years he's been coding in Ruby. And he has his own laptop which is set up there. He's going to tease us. I hope so.
No.
No, he's a nice guy. He's going to actually show you. Are you going to show us
Yes,
that you can read faster than us?
Yes, yes.
I'll repeat what I just said. He's going to prove to us that he reads faster than us, and then he'll show us also how he's actually doing Ruby coding. Come, Nitin.
Yes.
You got it here?
Yes. So,
That's your laptop.
yeah.
Okay. Nitin, we will need a little bit of help from you to see when you want to show the presentation and when you want to get onto the laptop.
Yes, yes.
Up for him. And they're setting it up because once they put the aux, it's probably gone there, and he listens to it. And I've seen him at work. He'll open like a Wikipedia page in front of you, and we're going like, yeah, I'm reading it, and he's like, I'm done. Because he reads at a pace where the JAWS, which is called a screen reader, which starts reading the screen, but he listens to it at 60 times faster than what you would take to speak.
All. Sorry for long because some technical glitch was there. That's why it took little long. My name is Nitin Dhavre, and I have my own startup called Neurodynamic Infotronics, and I work in Rails, Flutter, and electronics. So actually, I haven't prepared any talk as such. Just Gautam told me to show you how visually impaired people work on the computer, how visually impaired people code, and that's why I'm here today. And actually, I'm very grateful to Gautam, since he not just introduced me Ruby, he taught me Ruby. In 2013, he taught me Ruby, and since then I'm working in Rails. He asked me that how much time will you take to learn Rails? I said about 2-3 months I think I required to learn Rails. But Gautam said in his own way, साले 2 महीने Rails सीखेगा तू, 2 दिन में सीखना चाहिए. So that's what he told me to learn Rails. So let's move to next part of the talk. नहीं तो otherwise फिर से बोलेगा, साले तुझको 4 मिनट दिया talk बोलने के लिए, तू बाकी का बकवास 4 मिनट किया कर. So नहीं मी बंद केल. So first of all, let me ask you, are you able to see my screen? Are you able to see my screen? I mean, are you able to see the PPT or my screen? PPT, not my screen, right? But let me tell you, my laptop is on and my screen is also on. And I will now hear you something. Try to guess, okay? नहीं नहीं HDMI चं गेलं परत. नहीं ना, ऑडियो फिर से गेलं.
Home. Nittendower checked.
Okay. Now try to guess what it is saying.
Inno setup compiler checked. 9 of 30. GitHub desktop checked. 17 of 30.
Can anyone tell what?
Inno setup compiler checked. Not
Can anyone guess?
You're able to hear a few words, right?
Yeah.
All right, Nitin, go ahead.
GitHub desktop checked. 17 of 30.
Now GitHub desktop, right? So how this is I work? This is a screen reader called JAWS, JAWS, Job Access for Windows. JAWS is the name of the product and abbreviation. Okay, and this you are able to make it. Why? Because the speed is slow right now.
Inno
Okay,
setup.
now I'll increase speed a little.
J. JAWS enter. JAWS cont. Escape.
By the way, I'll switch on the screen for you.
Space. Screen shade off. Home. This nit.
Okay. Now I'll increase
J.
the
JAWS 2020 enter. JAWS con. Basic stop voice. Select the voice adjustment. Enter. Context menu. Leaving menu bar. Voice adjustment. Speak sample to synth. Voice rate colon 50. Left 10 per 26, 27%, 28%, 70. Windows D desktop folder view list 7 OK space. Windows D desktop. This JAWS 2024 checked.
Now are you able to guess?
This key. Inno setup compiler.
Okay. Now this is still slow.
J JAWS.
Now I'll increase the speed. At what level I used to hear the audio.
Enter.
Okay.
JAWS con. Big voices V. Select voice adjustment. Enter. Context menu. Leaving menu bar. Voice adjust. Speak sample but voice function. Voice rate 12. 30%. 33. 50%. 58%. 60%. 105. 59%. 60%. 100. OK button to activate. Press enter. Windows D desktop folder view list view. JAWS 2024 check 10 of 30.
Now this is my original speed. At this speed, I used to work on the computer.
This PC check 2 of 30.
Okay. So how this is I work. Now let me show you how I code. Okay.
Index.html.am /HTML button with hidden colons. Setting keyboard layout to English left parent India right parent. Blank. Title is index.html.am /HTML left bracket WSL. Use virtual PC cursor on. Virtual PC cursor. Home. File Alt plus F menu sub menu. Escape. Virtual PC cursor. Hit left margin. Index.html.am /HTML left bracket.
Okay. So I have opened one HAML file
Index.html.am edit dash content under space.
of my one of my projects. So what I'll do, I'll show you the screen first.
Dash user underline sign underline 2 spaces. Projects dash file. An accessible platform for all your quizzes and tests vertical bars. An accessible platform heading level 1 swallowing and TM text.
Okay, this is the index file.
An accessible
Okay,
heading
I
level.
mean the same file I have run in the browser.
One second.
Sorry.
Guys, can you get onto his screen now? Not the PPT. Switch the PPT to his screen console.
Oh, sorry.
Hold on, don't worry.
Actually, Anuja was there to. Yeah.
So what he's now showing is we're getting out of the PPT. The PPT is actually run from the console. And now he'll show us his actual screen and then see if you can follow what he's doing.
An accessible platform for all your Windows D. Quick settings project list box duplicate to enter.
Connected,
Enter.
connected.
Extend 3 of 4. Duplicate 2 of 4. Enter. An accessible platform for all your quizzes and tests vertical bars. Log in test dash Google Chrome. An accessible platform for all your quizzes. Toolbar.
Socket loose.
Nitin, your laptop. And the connector there is going to create problems.
Nine.
I think let's hold off for now.
Yes, yes.
Don't worry about it.
Yes.
But I'll definitely get you something. Maybe if you get a chance, we'll do this tomorrow again with a better connector.
Yes, yes. Thank.
And just as I said, stop. We'll do it properly next time tomorrow.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Okay,
Let's do
sir.
that, guys.
Yes, thank you.
While the next Flash Talk speakers are getting set up, let me also tell you all this that a few years ago, his team and his earlier company called TechVision, they were flown to RubyConf in the US to give a talk straight there in RubyConf. And that talk was also about how web accessibility is actually done. So if anyone works with web accessibility, especially with government websites and stuff, the company actually has that kind of web accessibility expertise certification to actually get this all going. All right. Nitin, thank you so much.
Thank
we will
you, sir.
set it up again probably tomorrow sometime.
Yes, yes.
But I definitely want the team to see how you are working on this, all right?
Thank you for providing opportunity. Thank you very much.
Cool. All right. We're going to have a new host for our Flash Talks. Go ahead.
What's up, Jaipur? My name is Krishnal. I work at Joe Software as a software engineer, and I would be your host for the Flash Talk series. So first Flash Talk would be presented by Adarsh Anand, and the subject would be Ruby case study in RAG with Gemini. Over to you, Adarsh.
How we can actually embed intelligence. I mean, how we can start with just embedding intelligence in our Ruby-based application. So for this, I have actually selected a use case of demonstrating a simple RAG application, which is just based on, I think, a Ruby script, just one Ruby script to do it, connect it with Gemini and do everything. So basically, most of the things today, like ChatGPT, is able to answer anything which is publicly available. But what if it's something which is maybe your company reports or company documents? What if you need more details about that? What if you need such unstructured data? You need some questions on that. So for doing that, we need to train or ingest these data into the LLM models in order to enable them to answer the questions on that. So, this actually is very easy to do. I mean, this architecture, what we do to solve this is actually RAG. Basically, it's said that it is mostly based on the. I mean, mostly Python is used to solve these problems. But I'm just going to showcase that how we have used the Ruby pipeline to just set up a simple RAG application and to achieve this. So we have actually, mostly in general, RAGs follow these three steps, wherein you first ingest the data, then you retrieve get the vector embeddings from the ingested data, then you retrieve the vector embeddings from the prompts and form a proper prompt and then give it to the LLM model to generate the content out of it. So let me just quickly show it through the demo actually. So I had a PDF wherein I just wanted to know that what is the new release in my company's thing. So for one of the module, so I just uploaded the document. So what it does when I upload the document, actually internally it sends it actually chunks the modules, chunks the text into the modules and concurrently sends the ingest call to the Gemini API using Gemini API and get the vector embeddings. And from those vector embeddings, what we do, we store it for this application, for this use case, we have just used an in-memory vector store and we are storing it there. Now what it does that it has actually now what we are doing is we are actually asking some questions. Now these questions is again converted into vector embeddings and we do a cosine semantic search, to get the top three closest similar vector embeddings from this. Now using this as a context, we send the call to LLM to get the response. And as you see from my internal company documents, I'm able to achieve this. Now the problem initially what I faced was this document, maybe somewhere around 300 pages or so, took initially first time 26 minutes exactly to get the data ingested. Now what we chunked this, we chunkified all the text embeddings, and then after chunkifying this text embedding, we enabled parallel HTTP calls to the Gemini modules, so that these calls become faster, and this was quite achievable in seconds. Now the next thing to see whether we can extend the functionality on this, or maybe the source data. Initially it was PDF. Maybe can we extend this to maybe the web links URL or web pages? So we were able to do that as well. Maybe we just use a Nocturai framework to render all the web related data, and similarly we were able to kind of get through ingest the contents of that web page, and ultimately answer the questions whatever related to that web page. So even that was kind of achievable using Ruby use case. Now, just to make it short, just to conclude that Ruby is very elegant. Its elegance, its flexibility enables us to code within a script. I mean, just to code this and add extra functionality, add intelligence or embed intelligence in your Ruby-based application. So go ahead and play around this, and you can get the access to the source code by scanning this repository. Thank you.
Thank you, Adarsh. Cool PPT, I must say. The next topic would be debugging detective, and the presenter would be Rohit Arolkar from Coupa. Rohit? Yes.
HDMI on kar do please.
Hello everyone, my name is Rohit. I work for Coupa. Usually I work on a lot of debugging related issues, wherever it comes to performance, bottlenecking, or anything that needs attention in terms of the process slowness, right? So we end up using most of the tools which are accessible to us, anything from New Relic to any profiler. But sometimes what happens is that we end up having a brain fart, right? Where in terms of none of the profiling tools are helping us. We are in a unique situation where nothing helps. At that time, some type of ad hoc methods or a manual intervention comes in. That's what I'm here to talk about. Now, usual tricks which we cover are your n+1 queries, your query optimization, your indexing. That all helps us to get to the performance bottlenecks, right? But there are times when these things won't help, right? Which is where a request comes in where saying that things are working very slow, and you need to figure out what slowness is about. Which is where I'm just taking you down my hell, where you need to find a needle in a haystack, where 90% of the time the success is finding the place where things are quite slower, right? My use case would be like a complex business model where multiple concerns are there. There are multiple callbacks where a callback is calling a callback, calling some other touch here and there, and then it's a tornado of things. Like, how do you find something that is slower in these cases, right? In this case, I found a very useful methods where callbacks can be traced and their performance can be traced. Like, Rails provide this save callbacks, right? So if you have nested callbacks within a callback somewhere, some models are getting touched, and you can't figure out. What you can do is you can just get your model hooked to this model object hooked to this callback, and then try to. Are you able to see it? Yeah. So you try to print the logs of time taken for each of these methods, and then you figure out what is slowing down, and then probably just an educated guess after this time to get the culprit out. Then there is another case where we have a use case where every 6 months, for example, we have a release, and from the last release to new release, let's say Elasticsearch indexing is slower. The thing that used to take 1 hour is now taking, let's say, 2 hours, hypothetically, right? And you need to figure out what is slow. There are 100 commits that have gone in and you have no idea what is causing it, causing the slowness. Now, you can try to log it and then try to print the logs and around each block what is slow. That helps, but the whole process takes time. There is deployment involved. There are a lot of things that are involved in this. So what helps is again a classic old manual intervention where you wrap each block around a T2 minus T1 and just log it, or you can print it into a file. Once you have it into the file, run the whole job on release 1, release 2, take the difference. Right? It's easy, but no tool helped me do this. So that's one of the easiest way to figure out a slow method from a faster method when you're dealing with 100 calls, especially in indexing. There might be a lot of tips and tricks that you might be using it. I'll be open to have this conversation with you. Let's catch over a beer. Thank you.
Thank you, Rohit. So, next speaker would be Shreya Chaturvedi, and she will be telling us about the RAG models. Shreya.
Good evening, everyone. Myself Shreya Chaturvedi, and I'm pursuing BTech in Computer Science from Banasli University. And today, I'm going to talk about RAG model. So assume if I ask a chatbot, what was the revenue of Tesla in 2024? It might give you a wrong answer or an outdated one because it is based on its training. But what if I tell you that there is a solution for it, that's a RAG model? So what is a RAG model? RAG model stands for Retrieval Augmented Generation, where retrieval part goes through the information and find the most relevant chunk out of it. And the generator is a big LLM like GPT, which has its training and relies on the retrieval data. How does the RAG model works then? First, the user uploads the data and asks the relevant question out of it, and the retriever goes through the most relevant chunk, and the generator finds the answer on the basis of its training and the given data. So that's what I told you about RAG and how it works. And what's BookBot? I recently made a project that's a BookBot Insight, in which I use RAG model. It is a web-based project where a user will upload the data, and the retrieval will go through that data, and the generator will find the answer about it. So here from there you can upload, and then that file will be browsed and then processed, and you can ask the question, and then the RAG and the generator will combinedly find out the answer for it. So why should we choose RAG model? RAG model because it reduces hallucination and don't make the things by its own. And secondly, it gives fresh and the reliable answer. And at last, the RAG model is like a AI library which has its own library, and before answering any question, it goes through the local storage and then go through it and cross check and then give you the answer which is fresh and reliable. Thank you.
Thank you, Shreya. Next speaker would be Utsav Parmar, and he would be telling us about what if boring is better. Utsav.
Hello everyone. Yeah, so hello again. So yeah, the title of my talk is What if boring is better? As an engineer, I hate this title because it is too abstract. What is better? It is too relative. It is better in compared to what? Boring is subjective. There's a lot of questions here that an engineer would get. So yeah, I also hate this title, but at least my colleagues said that this is a good rage bait. So I don't think so, but that is why I'm going ahead with this. So yeah, Hi everyone, again, I'm Utsav Verma, and I like to rant about things. So I'm ranting about a technical problem today, and we'll obviously be talking about the solutions because otherwise a rant is useless. So the problem statement is pretty simple. There is a backend, which obviously has a database, and then there is a third-party service. Let's take an example of a third-party mailer service, for example, an iterable. So you will send data to this third-party mailer service, and it will send emails. So the idea behind this is that you need to provide it data. Um, for example, let's say I can configure different types of emails to different types of people living in different countries. In order to do that, Iterable needs to know um, which country is the user is from. So we need to sync the country data from our backend to the third-party service. And this is where the whole problem lies. So yeah, I have two solutions. Dare I say sort of extremist solutions. The first solution is pretty simple, which is the second one actually. So we are sending a full snapshot. So we do not care about what are the changes that are happening to the model. We basically send the whole payload that Iterable needs, or the third-party mailer service needs, and yeah, have it updated. So it is basically overriding everything. Whereas in the first solution, we are only sending partial updates. That is, we track what is being updated, and we only send that partial amount of data that is required. Now, the issues with this two solutions. So sending a full snapshot is a pretty simple solution. You are basically just overriding the whole data. But then as your data grows, as your payload is growing, there are a lot of table associations that you have to take care of. You have to optimize your databases. It takes a lot of time. So you turn it into a cron job. It runs every X hours, X days, X weeks. And because of this delay, there could be data staleness. And the data is not always continuously flowing. The data is usually, there are sporadic hits, right? So the queue can fill up very quickly. There are certain blockages in the queue. And when you're overriding data, you do not exactly know the granularity of the data changes. So it is also harder to debug. Whereas the second solution is quite nice. It is a bit complex, yes, but it takes care of all the logging issues. You know what is being changed and what is not, and you can move on easily. But then again, we arrive at the same problem. What if the queue is filled up pretty quickly because of the sporadic hits? If you're checking diff, then you need to fetch the data again from the third-party service, compare, and all of those things. So the question that we need to ask here is, what risk matters most in your business context, right? And my last question is, who takes the ownership of this? So who decides the pace of your system? Is it your system or the vendor system? By this, I mean that vendor has API rate limits that you need to always take care of. I like to take the control in my hands, or at least live in this illusion by, let's say, yes. Yeah, well, I got a notification that the time's up. But yeah, so I was talking about that our system can also take control with, our system can take control by, let's say, making the field update changes by ourselves, making specific field updates and taking care of the rest of the fields later on, batching them and so on and so forth. So yeah, that's my time. If there's an answer to this question, it would be, it depends, as is all the answer for all the questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Utsav. Next speaker is Harsh Surana from Incubite, and the topic is life of Ruby object in memory. Interesting.
Right, so I'm Harsh, and I'm from Incubite, and I will be talking about the life of object in memory. So have you ever wondered what happens to when you do user.new? What happens to in the memory where it lives? Okay, let's see. It is not connected. Yep. Okay, so let's move to the next slide. Yes, so object needs home. You can assume Ruby as a city planner, and how it maintains. So Ruby have heap, it takes a heap of memory from the OS, and heap has um, uh, the pages you can assume as a colony, and colony has houses, which is the slots, right? So this memory, let's say if I'm, as seen in the example, if you can see the string dot object ID, when I do this every time in the console, it gets new ID because it's getting its own house every time. And same, but there are some freeloaders as well, which don't take this memory. These are integers, Boolean, and symbol. So if you can see, they have a constant space which get allocated to them, and yeah. So and the symbol here goes to the global symbol table, and it stays forever there. Moving to next, we can count this number of spaces available to us, number of slots available to us. So the object space gem, which provide us this, and here you can see there are free 120, 1, 2, 3, 4 free slots available, and string is taking this much slots. Now here comes our survivor, savior, not survivor. It's a garbage collector, Ruby garbage collector. What it do, it find all the abandoned houses or like untraceable object, and it's clean them from the memory, which saves our day. But let's say if we are writing the code and a lot of objects are getting created, then Ruby asks OS to get us more pages, and then yeah, it expands its spaces. It's a GC in action. We can quickly see here. Here we are creating, appending the X 100K times, and what it's happened to the memory, right? And it keeps adding the slots each time. So here is how can we be a good citizen here, right? So for the first example you see here, we are appending X 100K times, right, in the string. But the first one, concatenation, is so bad because it's create, the plus object here is create each house in each iteration, right? So you are creating 100K houses each time. And the second one, append here, is basically increasing the size of the house, just expanding it where it lives. So here you can see the benchmark, how it perform. It's taking 2 seconds, and where it's taken append to 0.15 seconds to execute. There is another example here. If you can see, we write query here as and string, right? And it can save you a lot of memory if you write freeze. I can quickly show you. This is the object spaces. If we call 1,000 times this query where it has the string, it creates 1,000 houses, right? So, yep, you can directly optimize by introducing freeze there. So, yeah, that would be here. These are some resources, but yeah, be a good citizen, and that's my talks. Thank you.
Thank you, Harsh. Next speaker is Aditya Tiwari from Incubite, and the topic is active jobs continuation.
Hello. So if you ever banged your head because a deploy just stopped your long-running job, then this is for you. So we'll first start with the problem, and then we'll go for the solution. So the problem is pretty straightforward. Let's say you have a very long-running background job, and if you work with deployments, you know when a deploy occurs from Docker containers or Kamal, your job stops for like 30 seconds, and then it restarts from 0. Now the problem here is the job can contain critical methods, and also when you restart the job, the CPU cycles which you use to run that job gets wasted. So we'll get to the solution, and it's not working. It's not working. Okay, just next. Cool. So I hope you all have watched the Rails World keynotes which got released recently. If not, then it's good because you don't get spoilers. In Rails 8.1, DHH mentioned in the keynote, this is called active jobs continuation. So what active job continuation generally is, it divides your background jobs into multiple steps, and when the restart occurs, it won't restart from zero, but it will restart from the last saved checkpoint. And I know here that merchants of acidic jobs would say that it could be done with the acidic jobs gem from Shopify, but we are not talking about it right now. We'll just focus on active job continuation, which will be by default available from Rails 8.1. And it was developed by Daniel McBreen from 37 Signals. So this is a simple code presentation for the same. So anything which is mentioned outside the step block will be re-evaluated every time the job gets triggered or restarted. So there is a catch here. When the server restarts, there are two types of server restarts. It's sick term and sick kill. So sick term is the graceful restart, and sick kill is it completely turns the server off. So this is when the server restarts gracefully. So when server restarts gracefully, we have the block methods inside step, and at each step we have a method called cursor. So inside cursor, what cursor does is cursor saves the checkpoint at each step. And we can see here there is a method called step.advance. So what step.advance does is it calls the suck method on the cursor. So let's say if your cursor is on 0, step.advance will call the suck method on that, and the cursor will move to 1. And we can see that sometimes the record is not contiguous in active record. So we have used record.id here. And every time when a server stops, what it will do is it will save the checkpoint in the DB. And when the server restarts, it will again process all the steps which are outside the steps. And when it comes to the step, it checks the last saved checkpoint, and it will start from that checkpoint. So thank you for this. I am Aditya Tiwari, and I'm a software comms person at Incubite.
Hello. Thank you, Aditya. Now the next talk is going to be controversial. Next speaker is Yug Gurnani, and he wants to say, Rails does not scale. Now, how it does not scale, let's hear him out.
I'm Yug Gurnani, and I have been working here as a software craftsperson at Incubite. And I have been working with Ruby and Ruby on Rails for around last 4 and 5 years. And I got introduced to Rails just like most of us when I joined my first company as an intern. And to be really honest, I really liked Ruby, and I decided to continue with Rails. And when I joined my first company as a full-time, I also, my reporting manager was a Ruby enthusiast, and I managed an open source project under him for about a month or so called Vilab Ruby. But if you have worked with Rails for quite some time, you must have heard this phrase. So basically, whenever Rails is mentioned, it is mentioned with that Rails is good, but Rails doesn't scale. And it ached every time whenever I heard this statement. So I decided, so okay, let's deep dive into a bit. So back in 2008, when Twitter was growing rapidly and they were using Rails, so they were bombarded with users. They were having a huge amount of traffic, and they were having a lot of outages and downtimes also. It became So it became so common that they even named it the meme, the fail whale. So whenever Twitter went down, so it was named like it is a fail whale. And then Twitter dropped a bomb. So Twitter tweeted that they are facing scaling issues with Rails, and they migrated away from Rails. And this started a ripple effect, to be honest. Most companies that were using Rails at that time, so they started also switching frameworks. And they were not even facing skill issues. Still, they decided to switch just like every company now switched to new front-end frameworks. So, but then I gave it a dot. Okay, maybe Rails doesn't scale. So yeah, but then it hit me. Where do we all push our code? GitHub. And GitHub is strongly running on 2 million plus lines of Rails code. But I was like, okay, then it can just be a coincidence that Rails can only scale for developers, not for actual people who prefer shopping instead of collecting goodies, right? Sounds like no. So Shopify also uses Rails, and they process 145 billion requests in a single day using Rails. So that means that Rails can scale at the end of the day, else these companies would have also moved on from it. But how do we make Rails scale? Obviously, I can't answer it in a 5-minute flash talk, but here's the gist. If you take care of your architecture, have your database set up properly, and know your optimization, you can make a pretty good Rails app. And that can scale to hundreds of thousands of users. So, and in the current age of AI, where MVP and prototyping are the hot deal, and Rails made these easier a long time ago, it is even faster with AI and even better. So next time when you see that your Rails app is struggling and it's not able to scale, so maybe instead of blaming Rails, what you can do is look in the mirror and say to yourself that skill issue. So yeah, that was it. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Yug. Our next speaker is Om Jogani from Incubite, and his topic is even.gem is math as a service?
Hello everyone, I'm Om Jogani, currently working as a software craft person here at Incubite. And the topic I'm gonna discuss is even.gem, math as a service. So I'm gonna introduce a mathematical operator here, which is modulo. Now you might be thinking like, what is this modulo doing on the very second page of the slides, right? And you might be thinking like, is there any problem? Yeah, there are. So it's confusing, it's not clear, and you know how many hours are spent to explain this condition in code reviews, which is number mod 2 double equals to 0, right? So you might be thinking like, what is the solution? So as a solution, I'm gonna discuss very future-proof solution, which is, let's create a gem. So it is simple for math, but for humans. So it is a future of number checking, and we converted ugly modulo to beautiful APIs for humans. So earlier, we used to do this crappy thing, which is user ID mod 2 double equals to 0. But now we have a beautiful method that human can understand. So let's dive deep and understand like, what is this gem. So it's basically a 5 lines of code, and there are no dependencies. There is no file size, I mean very small file size, and it is fully tested with 100% coverage. But we also have some future plans as well. Maybe in V1, we have this is even. In the V2, there is odd. In the V3, we might introduce a configurations for experts. And in the V4, we will introduce is divisible by method. Ultimately, we want to land into investment money. That's the goal, right? Thanks. But the question is it a good idea? Yes, you get it right. Absolutely no, it's terrible and over-engineered idea. So as engineers, our job is to solve complex problems, not to make simple problem complex. By the way, you might be thinking like, there is a method in the Ruby, which is easy one. Why do we want to build a gem for it, right? Exactly. So yeah, before you, whenever you want to run the command, which is bundle add is even, think twice and embrace the future. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Urvashi Vasita, and she's going to talk about TDD with AI.
It sets up I'll just introduce myself. So, hello everyone, my name is Urvashi Vasita. I'm representing Incubite here. I'm going to talk about TDD with AI. Yeah. So, let's go with this cycle to quickly brush up through this. That is, in TDD we write the failing test, then we write code enough just to make that failing test pass, and then we go into refactor. And then we do this cycle for TDD. So TDD is like you brushing your teeth. If you skip it, it's painful. If you do it, it's painful. But what is better in the longer run is something that I'll leave up to you. We'll just see some of the good things about TDD. That is, we get clarity first, fast feedback, safe refactoring, reduced bugs, and confident while you change anything in your code. So moving forward, we have TDD with AI. So as you've heard in the Vlad's talk, that as well, that the AI is like as that over-enthusiastic intern, right? They want to do everything at the very first go. It dumps all the tests first, or implements too much code up front, or follows while they drifts off, right? So how to control this beast, basically? So we need something which is called like a class monitor or a project manager who can tell you what exactly needs to be done, right? So imagine someone that that controls AI and tells that what to do step-wise, so it stay focused on the track. So moving forward, we have something which is called as Task Master. It's an NPM package, and it behaves like a project manager you can think of, and it will break down your PRD into multiple tasks. So if you see here, we have a human, and then we have some agents and a PRD, and if we pass that PRD into this task master NPM package, what it does for us is that it creates those tasks, generates it, breaks down into multiple tasks into it, and then, yeah, thank you. And then, then we pass that task into the cursor and pass our agents as well, like what they need to do. And then finally, we get some output out of it. So I'll give you some gist around like what this taskmaster looks like. So if we go here and see this terminal out here, so this is the taskmaster. I have given my PRD into this. This PRD is a basic string calculator, basically, and it has broken down into this 5 points, is that implement straight and handle empty and null string, and it has broken down into multiple tasks here, right? And just to show you that this is something that I feeded it, it has gone through this cycle on the left-hand side of yours, you can see that, and then you see that it keeps focused. It goes one by one into the format. It only executes one failing test at a time, and then only it moves to the second task. So this is how you can keep your AI focused and perform TDD, because most of time, the issue that we see is that it becomes unfocused and loses track. So that is all. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Urvashi. I would like to request speakers from number 13 to 20 to please report to backstage. And our next speaker is Heath Wadia, and his topic is ghost methods. Over to you.
Hello everyone. Today we are going to talk about ghosts, not really ghosts, but ghost methods. This topic was discussed in the previous talk, so I'm going to capitalize on that. So I come from Java, the ugly and verbose code. So I knew a class which didn't had a method, so I tried to run it and I expected a no method error. But I didn't got that because of the blurred code. So in Ruby, you might think the method isn't there, but then somehow it answers the call. How does that happen? So Ruby has ghost methods. Methods that doesn't exist in plain sight, but they do, kinda. And we do that with the help of method missing. So what is method missing? So it's a safety net or a fallback logic. So when you have a class which doesn't have certain method, but you have defined the method missing method, that method will catch the call. And it will take over from that point and execute the logic that you have written in that method missing method. So it acts as a last resort also. So if anything doesn't come handy, this will. And it allows us to program our apps dynamically. So this is that code, pretty basic, but we talk about it a lot because it was one of the fundamental things that made Ruby, the flexibility. This simple class will tell you how we can use it. And there is one key thing, which is respond to missing method that we'll go over. So real world magic, do we use it really, or it's just a good thing? Yeah. So we do really use it in things like active record, OpenStruct, DSLs. So in older versions of Rails like 2 and 3, 2.1, we were using find by method with method missing method only. So this is all powered by method missing method. But there is a dark side. With great power comes great responsibility. I hope you are fans of it. And what this can lead to is infinite recursion. So if you define method missing and don't properly handle it, the method missing method will keep calling itself. And it will cause a Stack Overflow. I had to mention it because nobody really remembers it now because of ChatGPT, but you gotta remember. So it will call a system stack error, and that is no better than no method error. So better than system stack error, you just handle your methods properly, or allow your ancestor to handle it, the class ancestor to handle the method. And there's one more thing. So Ruby decides if a class has a certain method or not by respond to. So if you have not defined respond to missing method, then respond to will lie. So you are handling the method, but Ruby doesn't know that you are, and that is not good, right? Ambiguity is never good. So you have to take care of it, and it has some performance overload too, yeah. So we have to talk about best practices, right, while teaching anything. So implement respond to missing, call super as a fallback if you don't know how to really handle the missing logic from there, and of course use wisely because it is performance heavy. And the takeaway is that Ruby treats missing methods as opportunities, not errors, and that's how we also should do in our life, to treat errors as opportunities. So that was me, Heath Vadia. I am software craftsperson from Incubite. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Heath. Our next speaker is Mohit Kumar from Pattern, and his topic is upgrade your app with RabbitMQ.
Hello, everyone. Let me introduce myself first. I'm Mohit, I'm from Pattern, and my topic is we should upgrade our application with RabbitMQ over Kafka. It's a bit controversial, but let's go. So I will be talking about, like, first, what is RabbitMQ, why it is beneficial over Kafka, because it has asynchronous messaging, synchronous messaging, and we will take over, like, what are the advantages and key benefits. Let's first see what is RabbitMQ. Basically, it is a message broker, and it's a software that sits between our different services which we have. So we can say we have a producer which gives us a message. We have an exchange service which takes us a message, and we have a consumer, and the exchange service can give the message to any of the consumer which we need. Let's move over and talk about, like, how RabbitMQ can work with asynchronous messaging. So asynchronous messaging basically means background task. So if you want to push anything in the background and let the worker work and give us the response after that, we can use RabbitMQ for that. As in the code given, we can see we are using a gem called Bunny, which is basically used for RabbitMQ, and we are just creating a channel with a queue. And at one point, we will just publish our message, and at another service, we can just subscribe to it, and we can read the message, whatever is given. So it's basically simple. It's like Sidekick, which we use. Now talk about how we can use synchronous messaging as well with RabbitMQ, which is a little bit useful over Kafka. So basically, it's used RPC module, which is remote procedure calls. As in the code, you can see we have two methods. One is fetch response, and another is call. So fetch response basically fetches response from a particular queue, and it has a specific reply to queue and correlation ID. These two different parameters make it special so that it works in a synchronous manner. So whenever we call something, we pass a particular ID and particular reply to queue. And whenever we are reading it, we use that so that we know we need this response from this particular queue, and it works as synchronous in that way. So it's simply like we are making a phone call to a separate service, and we are waiting for them to tell us the answer. Now, what are the advantages of RabbitMQ over Kafka? Why should we use it? So first of all, because it's flexible routing. It provides us a request response in terms of RPC. It's a traditional broker module, and it supports multiple protocols like AMQ, MQQ, ATT, like that. And also, like, it's simple. It has a very easy learning curve. Last point, why you should upgrade your Rails app with RabbitMQ. As I told you, RabbitMQ makes your app faster, resilient, and easier to scale. RabbitMQ is very flexible for Rails application, and it goes beyond the monolithic structure. And why you should believe me? So don't. You can see there are many companies like Airbnb, Shopify, Bloomberg, Zolando, WeWork, and many others who use RabbitMQ over Kafka to use asynchronous and synchronous messaging. Thank you. That's been my time.
Thank you, Mohit. Our next speaker is Jaimin Shah from Incubite, and his topic is logging like a pro.
All right. Hey, everyone. Yeah. Cool. I'll be talking about affecting logging. And yeah, trust me, it's not about woodworking at all. So, all right. So anybody who's been on call here can relate to the scenario when you have to wake up in the middle of the night and essentially debug any production issue. And what can go worse is you are dealing with logs of this sort. So at a quick glance, things are looking okay, like it's readable. But if you see closely, it's logging way too much information than required. It's doing something about products, orders, and things like that, but there's no way to connect them to the users and products, essentially. So I'll be giving some ways we can, structure this better. All right. So the fundamental is to avoid string-based logging and prefer structured logging. This could be using JSON objects, because something like JSON is standardized across different platforms. So instead of having strings, do prefer structured logging. An important question which comes up is what to actually log. So we have this cool create order method, which seems to be doing so many things. So next time your order gets delayed, you know the reason behind that. Anyways, the point is, try logging the business events and not the technical steps. So a better version here for the same could be a log for order start, the creation, or a failure. So it's more aligned towards the business rather than technical steps. What can help here is dividing the log into 3 categories. So you always need to log the failures. What's important to the business or the domain you are working on. Something which can be taken with a grain of salt is like performance debugging and other queries. And you should avoid logging validation successes as much as possible, because you care more about failures than validations. So yeah, these are some of the things you can avoid. In terms of the structure of the logs, avoid PIIs. So anybody who has worked with healthcare knows that PII is something which can identify a user, right? That's you should avoid. Try to have a context ID. So the context ID can be unique across every platform. You can track the logs better. And we have different levels of logs. So debug is something which is helpful for us developers. Info is for normal flows. Warning is something you can take a look tomorrow, not today. And error and fatal is something you definitely need to take a look. All right, so just 3 rules, if I may. Every important action should have 3 logs. It should have the starting log. It should have the in progress log and the completion log. if you can't search for the log, it's useless. It's as simple as that. And next time you are writing any piece of log, think of how it can help you in the middle of the night. Yeah, I did some homework with this presentation. I have some takeaways for you folks. So pick any controller in your project, maybe try to rewrite the logs, do an audit of the app if you are logging any PIIs, and try to think of a reusable logging method that you can use consistently across all your application. Yeah, thank you, that's a wrap.
Thank you, Jaimin.
Will have background jobs which are in background either importing some files or sending alerts or there are so many different things which they are doing in background, right? So with that, I would say they are using rescues to do all the tasks, which is basically a Redis-based library for creating those background jobs, then placing them on different queues, and then finally processing them asynchronously. Now, in any environment, you could have two types of background jobs or rescues which are being processed, which are processing those background jobs. It can be a dedicated environment or it can be a shared. So dedicated is basically for for a dedicated customer, or when we have a shared when multiple customers are sharing the same resources, they will be using the same queues and same infrastructure and everything for doing the task. So at that point, we'll be calling them shared. Now, in previous state, if I'll have to say, we had around 120 different rescue job types. And to cater them, we had around 60 plus different queues, which were having anywhere between 0 to 8 workers assigned to them, which were actually processing those jobs. Now, majority of the jobs, if they are not creating a separate jobs, then they are by default going into a default queue, which is a star queue. And since we were lacking the prioritization of jobs, there were times when a very high priority job was getting delayed a lot. As a result, customers were facing issues. Then, since we have so many different jobs and so many different workers which are being assigned, obviously in a shared environment, mostly, we were having system resource starvations because of the using up of the resources which we have for a particular infrastructure. And at that time, we used to scale horizontally. Like, we need to have ample amount of resources in the environment. So for that, we used to scale horizontally, and that can become very much costly at times, because we have to keep on adding more and more resources to it to be able to cater the need of customers. And finally, since we have so many jobs, so many job types, the thresholds which we were setting to get the alerts, that was very difficult to manage, because they were not properly being able to send us the alerts because of so many different types of jobs which we have. Now, to overcome all of that, what we have done is we have categorized those 120 jobs into priority-based queues, wherein we have given priorities, say, P1 long, P1 short, P2 long, P2 shorts on basis of priorities. With that, the number of jobs which are going into default queue, they are less, since we are able to categorize only within those six priority-based queues. The worker counts, they got reduced, because now we know to which priority how many workers we need to assign, and accordingly they were working on that. And the alerting mechanism, previously we were doing around 750 plus, when you have more than 750 jobs in the queue, at that point you used to send alerts. But now we have scaled down, or we have made better alerting mechanism, wherein we are saying, whenever, like for priority 1 jobs, we need to have lesser queues, and priority 2 jobs, we need to have, we can have little bit more queues. So that we covered there. And all of this was done in a EC2 architecture. As a second step, we moved to a Kubernetes pods architecture, containerization, wherein we are able to scan the entire, the architecture, even scale it even better. So that we are doing via the Kubernetes containers. Yeah, and with this, we can say initially when we were starting, we found that we were processing around 1 million jobs in a day in production. So we were having 60 plus queues. From there, we moved on to, when we initially implemented the phase 1 of having 7 queues, we were able to process around 120 million jobs in a day. And then finally, now when we moved to Kubernetes-based architecture, now we are able to process around 200 million jobs in a day in production. And all of this with very reduced capacity and with reduced resources, thereby saving costs and doing things better. Thank you. That's my time.
Thank you, Rohit. Our next speaker is Navnath Fatangre from Coupa Softwares, and his topic is Coupa Navi, getting the feature.
Good evening. This is Navnath Patangre from Coupa. I'm working as a senior lead software engineer in Coupa. Today I'm here to talk about the Coupa Navi. Coupa Navi is our multi-agent AI platform, which doesn't only chat, but it works. So here I'll talk about, I'll give you a brief overview about the Coupa Navi. Okay. So as all of you know that, Coupa works for the spend management, and we manage the spend from procurement to payment. And we have the lot of transactions being managed, and being a multi-application and have the integrated with the multiple applications and multiple technologies, sometimes it becomes difficult to manage the spend. And there are certain reasons why the nowadays workflows are broken in the spend management. I would say those are not broken, but it requires manual invention. Too many systems are there, a lot of complexities are there, and I'm going to talk about how we are using Coupa Navi as a GenAI-based platform to help buyers and customers to use the AI with minimal manual intervention. Okay, so here I'll talk about the brief about what is the Coupa Navi, brief architecture of the Coupa Navi. Whenever I talk about the Navi or AI, I always remember the one line from our Chief Product and Technology Officer. He always say the multi-agent AI is the paving the way of autonomous spend management. Okay, so how does Coupa Navi actually works? Okay, so we have it's kind of it's not a brief architecture, I would say. It's just a high-level architecture I'm going to talk about. Here user gives the inputs, then we have the core processing, where we do the routing mechanism. As it's a multi-tenant or multi-agent architecture. Based on the user request, we decide which particular agent, single or multiple agents, should be used to process the user request. And based on that, the task is delegated to respective task-specific agent. Agent does certain processing, and it generates the concentrated results, and results sent back to the user or the response delivery. Again, it's two-way process. If there is some feedback from user, then feedback again sent back to the Navi through the user intervention, and it's keep on going on. Okay, so here I'm going to talk, what is this, how this process actually really work. Okay, so this is basically, it's kind of a, whenever we talk about any particular new use case we want to work on, right? We don't directly, start working on that particular use case. We first of all, we, understand that particular process, and then gradually we try to, try to work on that particular process. Then we try to adopt it, and then finally we try to use that particular process. So here we use the same pattern, and which we call it as a crawl, walk, and run with agentic AI. So when I say crawl, we basically, what we do, we take the specific set of users where we apply the AI with, small set of users and small set of customers. And based on that, we collect certain results. And if you need to, do these, do the some pre-processing, or we need to add some more accuracy, we do that. And based on that, we enable that for the large audience. Okay, so I am going to talk about two different agents we actually use in the production through Coupa Navi. And one of the agent is document discovery agent. So here, if you look at the first screen, so I ask Navi, what invoices do I need to approve? So it gives me these are the two particular invoices. Those either user needs to approve or the reject. Okay, and see here one beauty of this application I would like to talk about. It doesn't, the customer data is not shared with the AI. So the beauty of this application is that it works with the real-time data, making call to the application endpoints in real time, passing only that particular context to the LLM and get the result. So in this particular use case, I got the two particular approvers or invoices that those need to be approved or reject. And when user click on this particular any particular invoice, it gives the what reasons whether you want to approve. If I say reject, you need to specify the reason why do you want to reject this particular invoice. In next screen, here I am talking about, so in Navi, I ask, I would like to see all my invoices on the table. So it gives me link. So when user click on that particular link, it opens the table on the side screen and user can see the actual invoice table. Okay. Next agent, I'm going to talk about the sourcing bid evaluation agent. So in case of sourcing application, we see there are a lot of suppliers, lot of bids coming from the suppliers, and lot of items, or sometimes we call it as a lots. And it's become difficult manually, if you want to evaluate certain bids, okay? And with the help of GenAI, I would say with the help of Navi and using some custom agents, we can, do the bid evaluation within a seconds. So you don't need to, manually do the evaluation. So this particular application or this particular Navi framework is built in such a way that it doesn't share the bias data or supplier data with the AI, but it works in very smart way. Yeah, and just last screen, these are the different agents which are currently available in the production and which are helping buyers and suppliers to do their daily activities. Thank you.
Thank you, Navnath. Our next speaker is Rishikesh Malviya, and his topic is performance prediction.
Hello. So yeah, I am Rishikesh Malviya, working with the performance team. So I am the senior software engineer. So yeah, today's my topic is performance predictability agents. So we all know that. So performance we face many challenges, right? So we face the scalability issues. So we need to properly scale our servers. It should not be over-provisioned, all those things. So we face the resource exhaustion, cost management. So if we over-provision the servers, so we face the challenges of the cost, right? So it may cost us. And the third one is the performance degradations. So when the volume increase, so currently we are supporting the hundreds of millions transactions per hour. So we have created one agent, which is the prediction agent. So if we see here the prediction, what our prediction model do here. So we can see the threshold, right? In our old system, so we have set the configurations that it should not exceed this much. But sometimes it does not support, means sometimes the volume sudden increase. We don't know. So what we have done, we have created the prediction models. So before 30 minutes, it starts scaling the pods. So yeah, and help us to predict, means to scale to the particular limit and all those things. So here we are, optimizing the cost and all those things. So yeah, second one is the intelligent monitoring. So here we all know that the monitoring is very important in the performance. So what we have done, we have created the agents, so we have created the schedule job and all those things. We have used the historical data to predict the current issues, and we are recommending the solutions to the teams to do the proper scaling and all those things and do the performance related issue resolved. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Rishikesh. Our next speaker is Srajan Dadij, and his topic is when your app's weakest link is a library.
Hey, hello. I'm Srajan Dadij, lead AppSec engineer at Coupa. And the topic for today is when your app's weakest link is a library. So we all love using open source softwares, but it comes inherently with a lot of known vulnerabilities, outdated licenses, malicious code. And software composition analysis, basically it analyzes what all components are there. And then we can look into the security vulnerabilities there. So this sneak, dependabot, these are some examples that we can use to detect that. Challenges are there could be like thousands of vulnerabilities that gets flagged by these SCA tools, and there's a high false positive rates. The prioritization is difficult, like not all CVs are matter equally. And then there are direct and transitive dependencies that can add complexity, like it would have a transitive dependency tree. So if you see, as per Semver, we have like major, minor, patch. So major generally have breaking changes, minor like generally backwards compatible, patch has security fixes, bug fixes. So if you see gemfile.log, it has like these direct dependencies and transitive dependency. So the vulnerabilities could be in the transitive dependencies. So you have to update the main package as well if your that transitive dependency is affected. So a simple way for updating the patch version, you can just do bundle update dash patch. It could update the patch version to the latest one. It could have a risk if your registry itself is compromised. Which is a rare scenario, but happened recently. So if you have heard about this NPM registry attack, where a lot of packages were compromised, those packages had around 2 billion plus weekly downloads. Vlad recently, in previous talk, he talked about this as well. So these were all the packages that were affected in this attack. So if you are using it, I think like you should go and check, and you should upgrade to the one that is a stable one. So how did this attack happen, basically? So the maintainers of these packages, they received phishing email from a domain that was created on 5th of September this week, and then their credentials got compromised. And then how the attack actually worked, like it basically, the malware was installed in the libraries. And then it was like looking at the sensitive data which was flowing from like crypto wallets. And then it was changing the addresses of those crypto wallets to the hacker's wallet. And it does that everything in the background, so you won't notice it. So that's how it was attacked. So if you see this package which was affected, it created few versions. So the 7 years back, it was 0.3.2. But recently, there was a patch version available, 0.3.3, which was affected. Later on, NPM, they took down all these packages and informed everyone. So like, it is not exist yet now. There are other ways to do like automation patching, like we can use renovate bot, depender bot. We can configure policies, like we can separate major, minor, and patches. We can prioritize based on risk. So we can, like there's a base CVSS score, which generally overestimate risk. We can adjust those CVSS score by, let's say, environmental factors or exploit maturity, runtime, like what is the vulnerable function reachable, the attack vector. So we can reduce the vulnerability counts from thousands to few hundreds. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Srajan. Our next speaker is Karan Khurana, and his topic of the talk would be Airflow Data Engineering Tool.
Hi, good evening everyone. So my name is Karan Khurana and I'm a senior software engineer at Pattern. I was experience of around 8 years. And since from last 4 years I'm working with Pattern. So my today's topic is related to data engineering. I guess you all know about data engineering, what data engineering is. So I can quote one example as well. Let's suppose if you have searched anything onto the any of the e-commerce platform, let's suppose like Amazon, Flipkart, and you have searched any article of shoes or anything, and then you have not purchased that. But later, once you come back to any of your social media account, you will start noticing that you will be getting ads related to the product which you have searched. So this is all data engineering. So today I am here to present you one of the famous data engineering tool, that is Airflow, Apache Airflow. So what is Apache Airflow? Okay. I guess, 1 second. So Apache Airflow is an open source platform for basically creating, scheduling, and monitoring complex workflows and data pipelines. Okay. That's not, okay. Why we need Airflow? So we need Airflow to manage our complex batch-oriented workflows. Basically, when I say complex workflows, I can come up to the complex workflows later. So let's learn, like, we know that Airflow is extensible, like it can be extend to multiple technologies, like we can connect with multiple external technologies like S3, Postgres, etc. via its operators. Okay. It's not changing. Okay, so when I say complex workflows, basically what we do, we write basically one Python script, and we call that Python script in Airflow as DAG. DAG is basically directed acyclic graph. This is a concept of graph. So as you can looking into the like kind of a flow chart, where each node is a task and all the arrows which are representing are the interdependencies. So once the start task is completed and its output will be passed to all of the tasks which are section 1, task 1, task 2, task 3. So all these tasks are like executing in the parallel, and we are using the result of our first task into the parallelly running task, and then we are like passing the result into other tasks. So this is kind of a sequential workflow, or you can say the complex workflow. So I can share my screen and will quickly show you how we can write the task. So as you are looking into the screen, so this is a DAG file, and Airflow starts looking from the bottom, and let's see, there is one ingest order task, and after this we have two other tasks which is written, like order write task and order item write task. So this is a kind of a small pipeline which is like ingesting orders into the system, and so this is the small example of DAG file. Okay. Okay. So it comes with interactive UI. So Airflow has a very interactive UI where it is very helpful for the data engineers to look into the UI. And let's suppose if any of the task is failed, then you can definitely start from that particular task. So no need to run the complete workflow. This is how it represents. So whenever we write the DAG in the script, and then it will be automatically displayed into the UI. So I can cover this. So there is a one webhook URL which is available, which we can use into the Ruby application, So yeah, we can call our webhook URL via Ruby APIs. So it has a very good community. Yeah, thank you.
Karan. Thank you, Karan. Our next speaker is Shubham Goyal from Pattern, and his topic of presentation would be cron power up.
Hello, hi everyone. So I am Shubham Goyal. I work at Pattern. I have a total of 4.5 years experience on Ruby on Rails. So today's topic is cron power up, auto scaling cron with Lambda, Event Bridge, and Fujit gem. So first, I would like to talk about my old setup. So the old setup was we were using a whenever gem. So using the whenever gem, we used to create the cron tab, and with that cron tab, the cron daemon, they used to pick up the cron tab file and used to run the cron. So that was the initial setup. But the main problem with the setup is if the server went down, in that case, it's a single point of failure. So that is a big risk which we are running. Also, the second thing, we don't know when the load will come up. So there are instances when the load will be very high, and there are cases when the load will be very less. So in that case, that single point of failure, the load can spike up, and that can create some problems in that case. So that was the problem we were facing. So the turning point which we wanted to solve is we needed a scalable and resilient architecture which completely eliminates the single point of failure. So what was the new architecture? So there are 4 steps. So the very first step is a trigger point. So we created an Amazon event bridge which triggers an event every minute. So that was the trigger point. The second is a Lambda. So the trigger, it will go to a Lambda and it will give the timestamp of when the trigger was committed. The third is the dispatch call. So whenever the Lambda triggers, so the Lambda will call an API. So that API is behind the ASG group, basically an auto scaling group. So that is the main difference. So in the initial setup, there was a single point of failure, but this is behind the ASG. So it will auto scale if a load is spiked up, and if the load is very less, in that case, the number of servers will be very less. So in that case, the cost will also be a very effective cost. And also at the very end, whenever like the dispatch call comes from Lambda, in that case, we will have a Fujit gem, which will have basically a relation that at particular time, at particular cron expression, what kind of job should run, right? And we used to store it in a database. So why we choose Fujit? Because Fujit, it is very flexible when we use the cron expression. So we can give different types of cron expression. For example, say every 15 minutes or every 5 minutes. So at 2:15, like we will know, like every 5-minute job should run and every 15-minute job should run. And we store it in a database. So using that database, we can figure out what kind of jobs we have to run. Now the main thing is we made it in a database so that anyone can switch on or switch off or maybe change the dimensions. So in that case, say for example, if they wanted to switch off a particular thing, they can just go to the database, make active as false. In that case, they don't have to run the job again. So that was the major plus point for our ops team. Now we also have a different solution. We can use a sidekick cron also. So why not sidekick cron? The problem with sidekick cron, it is very difficult to scale a queue. So we don't know, like for example, if we have multiple sidekick processes running, and like if the queue is piled up, in that case, scaling that will be a very difficult task, because that it sometimes may happen that they will not spike up the CPU, so the auto scaling will not trigger, and those kinds of problem will happen. And also again, a single point of failure of Redis can be there. So in that case, this solution combined with the database and Fujit gem will provide us that one-stop solution. So the major benefit which we got is there were no single point of failure, automatic scaling for the peak loads, and a very robust system. My closing thoughts, we made critical jobs run on time every time. So that's my talk. Thank you all.
Thank you, Shubham. Our next speaker is Kapil Kumar from Pattern, and his topic of presentation would be multiple databases with active records in Rails.
Hello guys, this is Kapil Kumar and I work in Python as a principal engineer, and I have my colleague Nayan who actually helped me out to prepare this presentation and the demo around it. But unfortunately, this is in a flash talk, I wouldn't be able to cover the demo part. But yeah, so this is the topic like multiple database with active record in Rails. So these are the topics I'm going to cover, like the native read replica support, how you basically, in an older version, you basically will be using that, the Makara, Octopus, James, something like that. But in a Rails 6.0 onwards, we have the native support, and how you can basically add multiple secondary database in your existing application when you scale up your application, and what kind of the configuration you need after that one, okay, and how the connection switching works after that one. So this is for those users who basically want to upgrade and want to leverage the existing implementation of Rails, and how you can basically add a replica of the primary database in the existing database YAML file. So for that one, you need to add one important flag as replica as true, because Rails won't be aware which one has to refer for a replica database, right? So Rails will be aware against this particular database. It doesn't need to run any kind of the migrations. Now, this is the same kind of configuration which you will have the primary replica. Once you need to add the secondary database, so there are two major flags. One is that migration path, where you are going to store those migrations. Another is like if you just want to connect your external database, you don't need to run any kind of migration seed, something like this. So that you need to mention like database task as false. So it's just you want to connect that particular database and fetch up data from there. So in that case, the primary will refer to db migrate, and for the secondary database, it will refer to db / your namespace migration.rb, right? And for the schema as well. Now, what kind of the configuration which you need to configure in the application record level? So since you will be adding those reader and writer roles and your database, so this is kind of the configuration that you need to add the application record file, and similarly for the secondary database as well. And what kind of configuration you need to enable in the application.rb, like you just need to mention the roles according to it. Now, how the connection switching works. There are some glitches over there, but the most important thing is when you run this first command, you have to execute this command, it will add an initializer in the config, and these are the settings that you need to enable, right? The main important part is the middleware, how your application works, like with the session, cookies, or any other JWT and something like this. So these are the settings that you need to enable so for the automatic connection switching works, right? And when actually most of the developers, they won't be aware that what kind of the roles, whether it's a read or write, whether write access has been provided to your replica, right? So this is if you have a manual script that you need to put that ingest that particular script in the first part, right? But if you are not aware whether it will write something, that just to prevent those writes, you can explicitly mention this particular flag in your connections. So this is all I had, and yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Kapil. And our last speaker of the evening would be Amar Madekar from Quick Insure. And his topic sounds interesting to me. His topic is how and why I built my own Sentry. So let's hear him.
Hello. Hello everyone. I am Amar. I am working at a Quick Insure for last 1.5 years. Quick Insure is India's largest insurance broker company in terms of tech. So today I'm going to talk about why I build my own Sentry, its observations and learning throughout the journey. So from my very first day, my CTO Shailesh Patil sir has told me that observation is the key. You have to observe everything around your workspace. Then I started observing our projects in ecosystem, where I discovered about Sentry, and my passion for error solving and debugging got me more closer to the Sentry, where I began observing Sentry itself. One thing I noticed at Quick Insure, at a Quick Insure, we rarely depend on third-party applications. We have our own inspection portal, our own employee app, our own CRM tool, endorsement system, inventory, reconciliation system, mobile app, and web application app. That made me think that why not to create our own Sentry. One thing I noticed, if they, at a Quick Insure, if there is a tool, we probably make our own version of it. Except coffee machines, those we still buy. We can make that as well, but we don't want to, direct competitor of Starbucks and CCDs. In future, maybe. So, my observations, before creating a Sentry like a project, it took a lot of observations and approaches. As we know, there are two types of exceptions. Handled exceptions, which are expected errors and are explicitly handled by the developers. The second one is unhandled exceptions and are unexpected errors, which are handled by the Sentry itself. So our target is to handle the unhandled exceptions from the system. So to have as we know, the exceptions are bound to the request object. So to have a control over the request object, we have to use middlewares in systems. So, but as we have various projects in our ecosystem, so implementing middlewares in every project is a bit redundant and time consuming. So we decided to create an agent for that, which will be a centralized solution for our application. And using that, whatever data we collect from that agent and whatever insights we collect from the errors, we're gonna send that to the Quick Tracker application using the RESTful APIs. So Quick Tracker is nothing but a bug tracking system, which is a centralized dashboard for a complete control, where all the errors are formatted across the projects in standardized format. We can also find the actionable insights from that. We can do trend analysis. For the visibility into the errors, we can also find out their impact, their resolutions. So, to fetch, to debug the faster, we have to fetch the insightful information from that errors, such as the error class and messages. These are useful for grouping similar types of error and backtraces, code context, path, request parameter, body parameters, IP addresses. And we're gonna also fetch authors and reviewers of the last, using that we can identify who has last committed the file for the faster context, so that he will be notified through the Slack or an email, so that we can quickly reach out to him for the faster debugging and for faster error options. And we're gonna also fetch user ID from that error. So user ID, which will help us to identify how many users are affected due to this error. We can also track the business or revenue loss tied to the user issues. We can find out how many business we lost due to the payment failure. And we can also provide the personalized support to that users using that information. We can also like find out user-specific insights from that error, which will help us to identify whether specific types of users are affected due to this error or it is an generic error. So lastly, I would say suddenly Quick Tracker became my first big project, which handles exceptions from other bigger projects. So thank you.
Thank you, Amar. Thank you, everyone, for this amazing evening. Please join us in the party, and we will continue this series of cool talks tomorrow. Thank you.